I feel like there's an expectation that I'm supposed to only behave in this type of way. But the reality is,
like a Miss Universe.
yeah, just like a pageant, just like
like a beauty queen.
sitting like very, and like only waving like this. But that's not me. Like,
yeah, you gangsta.
like what?
Halo semua, welcome to Over Coffee presented by Pensieve. Terima kasih Pensieve sudah menyediakan ruangan kita pada hari ini untuk bersama saya Farina Situmorang, host dari podcast ini yang sekarang sudah ditemani oleh Mbak Nadine Alexandra, seorang aktor dan juga pecinta lingkungan. Benar ya?
Betul.
How are you, Nadine?
I'm good, Kakak Ina. How are you?
Kita teman lama ya sebenarnya ya. Jadi
actually kita udah berapa lama ya temenan ya? Like 6 years? Lebih ya?
Kayaknya lebih
7 tahun.
6 atau 7 tahun ya sekarang ya. Nice. Jarang-jarang kedatangan tamu seperti Nadine ini. Gimana kabarnya? Kamu ngapain aja sih sekarang?
Ngapain aja ya? Lumayan banyak. Aku sekarang masih acting. Jadi ada film, ada beberapa series juga. Terus tahun ini karena restrictions dari pandemi segala macam udah di lifted, so mulai kerja sama lagi dengan beberapa NGO yang emang fokus di lingkungan hidup. And then also working on my first script. So,
wow, writing sendiri. Maksudnya kamu nulis?
Iya, aku nulis.
Ooh. Yeah. Is this your first time ever?
Sebelumnya, actually 10 tahun lalu pernah sempat nulis a short film. Was terrible. Jadi bisa dibilang yes, ini pertama kalinya lagi. Like I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen. And then like
amazing though, good
yeah.
for you.
So this is I'm trying to work on my first feature film.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So sebelum kamu nyampe ke podcast ini kita sempat ngobrol-ngobrol ya kan, and we want to talk about, let's say, growth today, personal growth, self growth gitu ya. What makes you wanna talk about this topic particularly? Kenapa self growth? Kenapa, what are you growing out of and growing towards?
Yeah, I think mungkin karena alasan utamanya buat aku sih, growth is just an everyday part of life. Gak mungkin we exist tanpa adanya growth gitu kan. And I think for me, particularly dalam setahun terakhir ini, self growth or personal growth itu satu topik yang emang di highlight banget with all my experiences. Jadi it's just something that I think like I feel comfortable talking about as well, and like kayaknya mungkin ini satu topik yang a lot of people can resonate with juga.
Yeah. Yeah. So, kamu mention 1 tahun terakhir, like what has happened? I mean, to the point yang kamu bisa share gitu. Ini apakah life experience dalam, hidup in general, atau kehidupan pribadi, atau kerjaan? What happened in the last 1 year?
I feel like it was everything. Maksudnya dalam segala sektor kehidupan.
Wow.
Growth itu benar-benar kayak main subjeknya. Jadi in personal life, in ngomongin karir, ngomongin education juga, banyak banget kejadian yang aku ngerasa kayak diketapel gitu. Mau gak mau, I have to ngejalanin proses growth-nya itu. And it was sort of like sink or swim. And I just had to like go through and do it.
Kalau nggak berenang tenggelam gitu ya?
Iya, kalau nggak tetap maju, tetap bergerak, akan tenggelam. Dan itu berarti kayak survival mode banget dong ya?
Yeah, survival mode. Jadi you were on survival mode for the last 1 year?
I would say like, kayak the last like mungkin 10 bulan. Sekarang mau masuk ke 2023, lautan hidupku sudah mulai tenang lagi.
Nice.
Tapi ya dan mungkin tahun ini agak lebih enteng rasanya karena tahun kemarin tuh kayak accelerated growth. Jadi
dipaksa cepet gitu maksudnya.
Iya, accelerated growth, dipaksa cepet, dipaksa banyak bertubi-tubi sekaligus yang aku harus cepet belajarin. Dan masuk ke tahun ini kayak oke, resilience-nya udah lebih tinggi ketimbang tahun kemarin.
Naik kelas.
Yeah. Dan sekarang agak santai, tapi it feels like harus tetap maju tiap hari. Ada aja yang kayak blind spots yang mungkin tadinya aku belum sadarin, terus kayak di highlight lagi, oke, ini masih satu area that I have to work with.
What was the, mungkin kalau boleh share mungkin satu the biggest lesson learned itu dari tahun lalu apa?
Jadi tahun lalu itu gak tahu sih, setiap tahun aku pasti bilang wow, the last year was like the most difficult of my life. Kayak sampai tahun lalu itu kayak semuanya masih like every year it feels harder. You know what I mean? Kayak setiap tahun pembelajarannya itu semakin rumit, semakin besar, semakin berat. And kalau tahun kemarin sih semuanya bermula dengan anjing aku meninggal. So I know
that's so close to my heart. Yeah, karena anjingku udah 16 tahun sekarang umurnya.
I know that's something that like you and I hope a lot of people can also resonate with gitu kan. Dan itu kayak tanggal 2 Januari 2022 it started off that way. She's dia tuh beneran sahabat aku. She's been with me the last like 10 years even though the last like years of her life dia tinggal di Bali sama orang tua aku. Cuman dia ada di fase dimana I was like in my early 20s really figuring out life, feeling really lonely at times, dan cuman punya dia at those times gitu kan. Jadi waktu dia meninggal itu kayak the end of an era, and just like the start of this really really like big new chapter. Terus tanggal 2 Januari pula kan.
Jadi kayak bener-bener habis tahun baru and then 2022 tuh mulai gitu ya.
Kayak gitu. Dan jadi tahun lalu tuh I experienced a lot of loss and a lot of grief yang sebelumnya I had never experienced that before. Maksudnya when I was younger aku udah sering punya binatang peliharaan, but it was not that kind of attachment. Dan kayak loss and grief bukan cuman kehilangan in death, tapi kehilangan in like apa ya, like even something conceptual or like structural, you know what I mean?
I understand. Kalau kamu bilang kehilangan, maksudnya kayak end of an era itu juga kehilangan part of yourself atau your identity yang sebelumnya gitu ya. Jadi that's also, I think that's also grieving. That's also a loss gitu. Aku sih bisa totally relate karena, my dog itu juga temen aku dari umur 25 tahun ya sampai sekarang, tinggal dihitung aja tuh udah berapa umurnya sekarang. Terus waktu pertama kali aku pindah tinggal ke luar negeri pun dia ikut gitu. Jadi I remember aku benar-benar cuma sama dia aja. And when I had been depressed before, and I think I've shared this before. Waktu lagi depresi, I think the reason I got out of bed is my dog.
Exactly.
Jadi kan kalau enggak nanti dia pipis sembarangan gitu kan. Jadi aku harus bangun dari tempat tidur dan harus keluar dari tempat tidur untuk bawa dia keluar gitu.
Kasih makan.
Jadi ada aktivitas dan rutin gitu ya. Jadi itu beneran membantu kita bisa at least waktu itu keluar dari that dark hole or that really depressing place that you were in, right? Mentally. So I understand that's very very difficult. Dan itu sih aku I can relate that it's very sad gitu. So I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you. You know they say as a young woman don't get a dog in your early 20s because they're gonna devastate you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will.
Yeah.
Because the reality is we're gonna outlive them.
Yeah.
Right? And mereka cuman menjadi bagian dari kehidupan kita untuk sesaat. And I really resonate with what you're saying juga tentang you were suffering depression. I was at that time as well when she first came into my life. Dan sama persis gitu. Kalau misalnya gak ada dia, gak ada yang maksa aku untuk get up and get out of bed untuk ngejalanin hidup aku. Just to feed her or clean up after her. It's just another, I was gonna say human being, tapi another like person or like another living thing that you have to take care of gitu kan. Jadi tapi kan the reality is ketika ada kematian, when there is death, there is also birth and there is life. Itu siklus kehidupan kan. Where one thing ends, another thing begins. Dan itu menjadi pembelajaran juga buat aku tahun kemarin. Dan kenapa itu bersangkutan dengan this theme of growth, itu karena it's an evolution. Like your old self dies to be replaced with your new self. Tapi kan itu gak tring. Gak ada fairy godmother yang tiba-tiba datang terus kayak oke, yang ini udah selesai. Terus sekarang kita mulai dengan versi yang baru, versi 2.0, 3.0 or whatever. Antara dua versi itu kan ada masa transisi yang it's an intense period of growth, gitu kan. So, like meskipun ini tubuhnya masih tubuh Nadine yang dari tahun-tahun sebelumnya, tapi apa yang ada di sini,
software-nya udah ke-upgrade ya.
Kayaknya dalam tahun terakhir itu kayak upgrade-nya kayak
banyak ya. dari 2.0 ke 5.0 ya kayaknya ya.
Langsung kayak fast track ascension or something.
You know, it's interesting ya. Maksudnya kalau mungkin teman-teman yang nggak kenal sama Nadine personally dan cuma ngelihat dari jauh atau you know we see the end result of your TV series ataupun misalnya movies gitu. Terus juga ngelihat kamu dari social media, right? Mungkin nggak akan nyangka juga that you are experiencing you know, loss. And also, you know, you can be depressed and you can be sad and you are going through struggles in your life the last 1 year. Karena yang kelihatan kan di social media, you know, you're this beautiful, successful person. Terus habis itu, you know, you talk a lot about environment, maksudnya pasti nggak ada yang akan bisa tahu juga that there's this whole other thing behind what has happened to you in your life, right? That's, and apalagi someone yang maksudnya audiensnya juga cukup besar gitu kan, it's probably orang tuh benar-benar nggak nyangka gitu loh kadang-kadang. What do you think about that? Atau you don't think about that?
No, I definitely do. You know me, I overthink everything. So udah pasti sempat kepikiran. I mean, I try to be as authentic as I can be when I represent myself. Dan I guess like my Instagram profile is one way to do that, ya kan? And beberapa kali sih aku sempat ngebahas topik-topik yang or like just sharing about my personal experiences, dan itu requires me untuk to be very vulnerable, and that's hard karena aku takut dijudge gitu kan, kayak especially kayak aku ngerasa di society kita di Indonesia ini ketika kita ngomongin mental health itu masih tabu, ya kan? Dan misalnya kayak kita ngebahas depresi, kayak it's as if aku bisa mendengar orang lain di luar itu ngomong kayak ih kok lemah.
Wow, gitu ya?
Iya, kok gitu doang.
Kok gitu aja?
Iya, kok gitu aja?
Kayaknya susah banget sih hidup lo gitu.
Iya, maksudnya kayak
kok ya.
or like,
harusnya kan lo lebih lebih
resilient, apa lebih
resilient,
kuat.
kuat, atau mungkin harusnya udah bersyukur udah hidupnya lebih enak.
Iya,
or
atau nggak
whatever.
misalnya kayak aku rasa mungkin masih banyak orang di luar sana yang nggak bisa ngertiin misalnya relationship aku sama si Pebbles, anjing aku gitu, kayak anjing doang.
Iya, anjing doang kok sampai gitu banget
And it's
sih
like,
gitu.
ngatain ini nyeseknya sampai
Yeah.
like until today, if I see photos and videos of her, if I think of her, I just have to take a moment because I'm like, it's not the same, you know. Dan aku setahun lalu tuh sampai depresi berat. Maksudnya I really like went into a deep hole, dan itu rasanya kayak dikubur hidup-hidup dan gak bisa. I couldn't do anything to get out of that gitu kan. So like I try to represent myself as authentically as possible, and you know me, I overshare anyway. And I'm an open book normally. Tapi aku emang ngerasa kayak tahun ini I have to really be more vulnerable than I've allowed myself to be in the past. Karena aku yakin misalnya through this exchange gitu kan, kita sharing, kita cerita tentang kehidupan kita, pasti ada orang lain di luar sana yang nonton ini dan bisa ngerasa kayak oh gue nggak sendirian tuh ternyata dalam pengalaman ini, meskipun mungkin at the high level detailsnya itu berbeda, tapi kan perasaannya atau pembelajarannya itu mirip-mirip gitu kan. Dan aku ngerasa kayak it's part of tujuan aku di sini to connect that within people, to remind maybe each other and ourselves about our humanity and like the things that connect us and the things that actually make us similar. So I struggle with it with like my public persona karena aku ngerasa kayak iya sih ada ekspektasi dari orang-orang kayak I'm supposed to be super happy and super bubbly, and I am all those things, but also I'm a Gemini, so like the bright is super bright, the dark is super dark. You know what I mean, right?
Yes.
Like, and it's like, okay, I have to be more comfortable with allowing people to see my flaws because flaws are really human.
Yes.
And not saying it's easy.
You're right.
Right.
Kamu kalau bilang tadi takut dijudge tuh takut dijudge sama siapa?
Just them.
Them itu tuh kayak ada maksudnya it's just like a general them.
Yeah,
gitu.
it's just a general like faceless mob. Okay, but I think the fact that I'm like it's a faceless mob, I think that says a lot about like what I'm projecting kan. Yeah, aku I don't know. And I think that's just like a figment of my imagination.
Yeah. But how do you get over that fear?
Going back to something that I was saying just a moment ago, it's like I think it's connecting with that authentic feeling and remembering this is not exclusive to me, and this is something that other people also experience in different shapes and forms.
Yeah.
So it's like that way, the faceless mob, itu I start to see individual human beings. And that's easier to connect with. Or I think of like, you know, ada beberapa kali yang misalnya aku kayak nulis post yang agak panjang lebar about something really, really personal. Biasanya aku tujuin kayak, I think of one person in mind. Karena itu merepresentasikan everybody else juga gitu kan. Dan I think it's easier whether it's to write it to somebody specific. Karena ada this, I guess like more personal feel juga gitu kan. And I think itu juga membantu supaya whatever the content is bisa nyambung sama siapapun yang membaca itu.
Right.
So yeah, turning it from a faceless mob into like someone friendly face.
So well, thank you for sharing. Like, I mean, the fact that you were in a deep dark hole. I think siapapun yang pernah mengalami depression or mungkin rasanya memang sama ya. I think almost everybody that experienced it, almost kayak deskripsinya tuh mirip-mirip gitu, kayak di lubang yang panjang, nggak bisa jalan, nggak bisa ngelihat keluar dan segala macam. I mean, I think like almost everyone yang pernah go through this, for some reason deskripsinya tuh begitu gitu ya, mirip kayak gitu. So for you, dan semua orang kan cara keluarnya beda-beda ya dari lubang itu. Like how did you do it? Like what did you do? Maksudnya how did you start? Terus kamu ngapain gitu? And you know, I can also share what I did, but what did you do?
I didn't think about it at the time. Maksudnya, I didn't think about how. It was sort of more like a natural instinct of survival, I think, for my own body. I think it's pretty safe to say I danced my way out of depression. Like, I don't know, maybe that sounds like a foreign concept, but like, okay, as soon as I could walk, when I was like 2, I was dancing. Like, beberapa kali aku nonton kayak home videos yang masih apa sih, the videotapes, tapi videotapes yang gede gitu.
Betamax, VHS.
Yeah.
I know. This explains how old I am, by the way.
How old we are. Same. But like, like, I'm always so shocked because I'm like, whoa, like little Nadine had a lot of sass. And like, I was dancing all over the shop. And I was like always such a performer ever since I was a little girl. Then when I was going through this, aku cuman kayak yang membantu aku supaya I felt more like myself. Dan aku bisa ngerasa lebih enteng dan lebih bahagia. Itu nyetelin musik kenceng-kenceng. And then just dance. And like, sebenarnya kalau misalnya sekarang I look back on that time, I'm like, okay, that was my body's way of keeping me alive and like helping me survive. Karena misalnya kayak kita belajar when you're talking about trauma responses. Oh, now we're getting into like the technical stuff. When you're talking about like trauma responses, and there's fight, flight, there's fawn, there's also freeze. And something that like wild animals do, misalnya you're like a gazelle and you're out in the African savannah terus dikejar-kejar sama singa gitu. Dan akhirnya lolos, ya kan? There's all this adrenaline and stress pumping in your body. And what do these animals do? They literally like they shake it out.
Yeah, they shake it out. That's true.
Because
kalau udah lolos
kalau emang udah beneran lolos gitu kan. Karena all that tension and stress itu kayak energy kan. It's energy inside their body. Dan akhirnya mereka, they just shake it out and that's one way of getting it out. So that, me dancing was my shaking it out. Karena kayak, aku ngerasa mungkin tahun lalu tuh secara mungkin emotional or spiritual, itu hal-hal yang udah aku pendam bertahun-tahun, udah
keluar semua.
Iya, dan they resist to be ignored. So every day, like, and I had a friend who saw me like low, and then she saw me ketika aku nyetelin musik and I started dancing. Terus dia bilang kayak, it's like night and day, Nadine. It's like a light switch gets flicked, and you change. Like you're so happy when you're listening to music and when you're dancing. And again, at the time waktu aku lagi ngelalui itu semua, aku nggak mikirin itu. Aku nggak mikirin kayak ini artinya apa sih? I just knew that like insting dari tubuh aku tuh pengen bergerak. Dan bergeraknya adalah dalam form menari. And so I just followed that instinct. And I really believe that's what kept me going.
Wow.
Because it was the only thing that I was like looking forward to. Was just like moving my body. And I felt like when I was dancing, for that brief amount of time, I didn't worry about the heaviness that I was experiencing. It was just like it helped me be present in the moment. Because like pada saat itu dengerin satu lagu, udah that's where you are, and like that's how I was feeling that moment. So I've talked about this in other situations a couple of times as well. Tapi buat aku personally itu sangat-sangat membantu aku untuk bisa keep going dan akhirnya bisa keluar dari lubang itu. And I think that like maybe a takeaway is that maybe you don't have to dance, but like I think your body knows how to survive even yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like, because this and this weren't in like, they weren't in cahoots. Ini nggak sinkron.
Nggak nyambung.
Nggak sinkron kan. Jadi kayak, oke, yang ini lagi entah ngapain, tapi I think listening to your body is a good place to start. And I think it's hard to ignore.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I think deep down, whatever makes you, tadi kamu bilang like makes you feel more like yourself, right? Jadi kayak kembali lagi pada diri sendiri.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. Dan mungkin semua orang caranya beda-beda, right?
So what about you?
Well, I didn't dance myself through it, tapi I actually work out myself through it. Yeah, I exercise. I exercise first thing in the morning when I went through depression. Ternyata memang the first thing you want to do is just to move. And I did it in the form of exercising, in form of yoga, you know, meditating, but literally moving sih sebenarnya. Memang itu tuh nomor satu sih. You know, anything that you can do with your physical body snaps something out of your brain. Karena, you know, the problem is you're stuck in your head. So how do you start moving around, right? Itu sih. Aku juga ngerasa yang paling membantu sebenarnya adalah physical exercise.
Yeah.
And for me, ternyata I actually have a condition kalau darah aku tuh emang kental. Jadi kalau misalnya nggak bergerak, darahnya nggak lancar, and malah makin, you know, drop lagi rasanya. Okay. So you still have to keep on moving. I mean, I haven't been moving for a week now karena kerjaan. I already feel super stiff. Apa ya? Kayak nggak enak gitu loh.
Kayak ada yang nyangkut ngalir ya.
Just not myself, you know. And usually I do work out all the time. Just, I mean, yang aku suka gitu kan. And people are different. Bisa terserah aja mau ngapain. But yeah, I mean, definitely listening to your body is one that you cannot ignore. I also think it helps you even. I mean, one of the ways I also went through therapy, went through depression is through therapy, talk therapy. Jadi kayak ngomong sama terapis, tapi waktu ngomong sama terapis kan dia pasti akan nanya kayak rasanya gimana, and then you describe the feeling in your body. Misalnya kayak rasa marah atau sedih itu kayak, oh iya kayak, you know, something is like kayak neken nih di sini. I mean, the more you are in tune with your body, your physical self. Actually, terus rasanya jadi kayak, oh yeah. As soon as you understand that, for some reason you process and, you know, it's a way towards resolution, gitu loh.
Yeah, I wonder if that like, you know, if you're so dissociated from it, you can't even name it. It seems like something yang insurmountable. It's like this big looming thing kayak. Tapi giliran you face it and you're like, this is how it feels, and then you put a name to it, it makes it more like not approachable, but like manageable. You know what I mean? I think maybe that has something to do with it, because you're reminding me as well, waktu itu I was also doing talk therapy, and it really helped just to have someone actively listen and bear witness to what I was going through. Karena kan kalau ngomongin depresi itu nggak terlepas dari kesepian, rasa kesepian kan. And like this feeling of like nobody understands me. Disconnected, isolated. Dan you know, pada saat aku ngelaluin itu semua, aku beruntung banget karena I had friends, including you, that were there. to like help me. Tapi I don't know, there's just something different about talking to your therapist.
You know? For sure.
Because like literally it's their job to sit there and just like listen to you whine
Yeah.
for like an hour or whatever it is. But I think human beings, kita benar-benar struggle dengan ngerasa dilihat, to be seen, to be acknowledged about our existence, about our pain. And I think when we receive that acknowledgement, it helps us to move on. Tapi kalau misalnya whether we are ignoring our pain atau orang lain yang invalidating perasaan kita, it's really hard to like get to the next step.
Yeah, because you question the fact that ini bener gak sih yang gue rasain?
Yeah.
Jadi that questioning process stops you from actually processing the feeling itself.
It's just like a loop akhirnya kan.
Jadinya malah stuck instead of moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm interested. Tadi kamu bilang this looming thing behind. I think untuk banyak orang rasa takut tuh rasanya kayak begitu ya. Jadi kayak kita tuh takut aja, tapi kita sebenarnya nggak tahu takutnya tuh sama apa sih gitu. Itu untuk bisa nemuin kita takut apa, takut ditinggal, takut ternyata kita tuh not enough atau nggak ada orang yang sayang sama kita, whatever, takut sendiri, takut. Itu rasa takut itu tuh kadang-kadang sangat misterius di mana kita tuh nggak bisa point out sebenarnya apa sih yang kita takutin. Jadi udah takut sendiri gitu. And you're
dihantuin.
Jadi kita kayak dihantuin sama rasa takut dan kita nggak tahu. And I think the moment you turn around and actually face that thing and you call it out, you talk through it, kita kayak move forward. That is for me. It's like one of the most liberating feeling.
100%.
And every day I go through it. Misalnya kayak aku tuh, maksudnya ini kalau psychologically atau mentally seperti itu ya rasanya ya. Karena kita kan ada kejadian-kejadian di mana kita kayak mungkin sama orang-orang terdekat kita nggak bisa ngomong atau takut untuk ngomong, takut untuk menghadapi karena kita nggak mau tiba-tiba find out kalau mereka nggak suka sama kita atau sedih atau kecewa. Itu yang kita nggak mau hadapin kan sebenarnya kan. Kita nggak mau. Jadi kita tuh susah banget untuk menghadapi conversation yang kayak gitu ya. Itu aku melatih facing rasa takut itu sebenarnya dengan tiap hari. Contohnya nih sesimpel melakukan sesuatu yang aku nggak pernah ngelakuin. Kayak
atau nggak mau ngelakuin.
Right? Misalnya kayak yang lebih simpelnya adalah I don't know, tanding tenis sama orang yang kita nggak kenal gitu ya, terus kayak udah grogi duluan, udah nervous duluan.
Oh iya, soalnya kakak Ina kan you're a tennis player.
No, I'm a pandemic tennis player. Jadi bener-bener amatiran banget, terus kalah mulu, nggak pernah menang sampai sekarang juga. Aduh, sedih.
The point is the growth. The point is the learning.
Tapi as soon as you face it and you did it, and you're like mau kalah mau menang itu kayak masalah belakangan, tapi menghadapi rasa takut, when you get to the end of it, there's something about yourself yang kayak ngerasa, wow, I did that gitu. It's the same thing kayak every time I have a very uncomfortable conversation that I have to have sama orang yang paling dekat, mau itu suami, adik, sepupu atau siapalah gitu ya, teman dekat yang mungkin kita ada rasa nggak enak. Sebenarnya rasa takutnya, anxiety untuk menghadapi pembicaraannya sama the actual conversation tuh gak sebanding sebenarnya. Kadang-kadang, jadi udah takut duluan.
Kayak rasa takutnya di sini, terus kayak pas kejadian kayak ting.
Oh ternyata kayak gini. Oke. Jadi kayak kemarin aku harus menghadapi satu pembicaraan yang mungkin uncomfortable banget. Uncomfortable pembicaraannya tuh mungkin yang tidak nyamannya cuma waktu dalam pembicaraan sendiri itu 20 menit. Tapi aku udah ketakutannya atau mikirinnya udah 3 jam. Jadi actually total 3 jam 20 menit untuk menghadapi ini, padahal sebenarnya cuma 20 menit gitu loh. Ya kan? Jadi ini kayak okay. Sebenarnya itu kita sendiri kan yang membuat itulah. But what I learned is that I read in this book behind lupa lagi kata-kata tepatnya ya, tapi kayak di balik hubungan yang mungkin harmonis atau loving, there's a 10-minute uncomfortable conversation that needs to happen.
It's just 10 minutes.
Yeah. Karena sebenarnya yang paling bikin masalah adalah kita kayak nggak berani ngomong, terus kita pendem sendiri, terus habis itu kita nggak pernah bahas, udahlah lupain aja, tapi sakit hati, dan itu nggak pernah di address, nggak pernah di resolve, gitu kan. Dan ini kita nggak ngomong cuman tentang hubungan yang romantic relationship ya, tapi juga teman, pekerjaan, professional relationship.
Di mana ada orang lain, there's gonna be a hubungan kan. So it's applicable in every way. Aku ngerasa kesentil.
Yang bagian mananya coba?
As in like kesentil cuman dalam artian that's also something that I had to really think about last year. Itu karena background aku, like in terms of how I grew up segala macam, aku belajar untuk mengesampingkan kebutuhan aku, kebutuhan emosional aku, dan memprioritaskan whoever that other person is, whoever is in that relationship with me, gitu kan. And you're saying all it takes is a 10-minute conversation, right? Untuk ngebahas kayak those certain things, those needs. Karena kalau misalnya kita ngerasa ada yang nyakitin perasaan kita, berarti kan there was an emotional need yang nggak terpenuhi dalam momen itu, ya kan? And but for me, I had to start at the basic level, which was knowing what my need was. Karena I never was taught to get in touch with my needs. And I think that's also another place where feeling how your body feels is really important. And aku kayak jadi kalau misalnya orang ngomong kayak iya apa harusnya lu nggak mendem, harusnya lu ngomong aja gini nih, gue mau ngomongin apa? Gue bahkan belum tahu ini apa sih yang gue butuh gitu, apa sih yang ingin gue sampaikan, apa sih perasaan yang what am I feeling in this moment? Jadi salah satu hal yang benar-benar aku harus belajar tahun lalu adalah how to get in touch and connect with my needs. And I'm sure I'm not alone in having to know how to do that or having to learn how to do that. Tapi it goes back again to what you were saying about like labeling those things. Like the minute that you can connect with it, and then you start to feel it, it's like, okay, this feels like betrayal, or this feels like disappointment. Yeah, kan? And it's like, oh, okay. What then you can ask that line of questioning where it's like, what am I hurt about? What am I disappointed about? What has happened to me? What threat am I perceiving?
Right.
And then communicate those needs.
Yes, it's a 10 menit conversation yang gak nyaman yang harus terjadi. Tapi kalau kita gak ngerti itunya, yang ada kita cuma berantem aja. Berantem for the sake of berantem ya. Jadi bukan healthy conflict di mana kita bisa belajar satu sama lain atau jadi mengerti apa sih kebutuhan orang ini gitu yang perlu didengar atau perlu diaddress. Tapi yang ada kita cuma jadinya ya hanya luapan emosi atau benar-benar berantem yang nggak ada gunanya gitu.
Atau
loh.
Berantemnya cuma di surface doang.
Tapi tanpa pernah mengadres kebutuhannya itu apa gitu kan. Atau sebenarnya definisi konflik yang nggak sehat itu kan yang kayak a race to the who is the most victimized. Jadi siapa yang paling jadi korban gitu kayak tapi kan lo giniin gue, tapi gue juga kemarin gini, tapi gue tapi lo kemarin giniin.
It's so true.
It's like lomba paling menderita, siapa yang paling menderita itu tuh jadi konflik gitu. Yang paling tersakiti lo atau gue gitu. Jadi
gue.
Iya. Jadi konflik tuh cuman itu doang gitu, cuman ngomongin gue lebih sakit daripada lo.
Itu yang lo rasain nggak seberapa dibanding gue gitu.
Tapi waktu kemarin lo kayak gini gue juga ngerasa kayak gitu gitu loh. Jadi itu sebenarnya perlu untuk latihan dan perlu untuk belajar, bukan saling menyalahkan atau siapa mengaku siapa yang paling tersakiti, but to understand what you need. Jadi instead of kita ngomongin lo itu lo tuh begini.
Yeah.
Gue butuh.
Yes,
ini,
I feel literally
this.
the words that I was like thinking.
I feel this.
Yeah.
I want this. I want that. Maksudnya kayak I want more of this.
Yeah.
I want less of this.
Yeah.
Karena gitu kan.
Karena kita ngomongin manusia ya. Ketika kita bilang kayak lo tadi gini-gini nih, it makes the other person become defensive. Karena ada unsur kita lagi nunjuk dan lagi nyalahin kan. There's blame in that sentence when we say like, you did this, you weren't this enough, ya kan? But it's like when we actually, I think we can lower another person's defenses when we say like, hey, I feel really hurt by what you said. Or like, I feel like this is what I need in this moment. I would love to spend more time with you, as opposed to you never spend time with me. You know what I mean? Like that's also something that I've learned, or I'm still learning to do in therapy. But it's like when you say I feel, cerminnya bukan ke sana tapi balik lagi ke kita gitu kan. And it's like, okay, well, how do I feel? And it's like, and one thing that I learned is like, okay, for example, like I feel angry. Okay, that's actually at the surface. Karena di belakang rasa marahnya itu, there's actually something a lot more vulnerable. Kayak anger is a good indication of like you feeling like something's been done wrong. Tapi that's not the deeper feeling. Like anger is usually masking like hurt, sadness, grief, or disappointment. Yeah, kan? And it's like, but when you just start to use the words, I think when you start to use the words I feel, it helps you to connect with whatever it is you're actually feeling, as opposed to nyalahin orang yang dalam konflik itu kan. Orang lain yang dalam konflik itu.
Yeah, wow. This conversation reminds me of something I have to do after this. Nanti kalau misalnya ngomong sama dia lagi, berarti gue mesti lebih kayak begini ya, lebih dengerin. And I think it's a constant learning, you know.
100%. I mean like dalam kita ngebahas ini aja, aku juga ngerasa kayak, oh yeah, that's probably how I have to go about the situation. Is like, I'll be like, why aren't you doing this? But like, I feel like this. And another thing that I wanted to just touch on, because you mentioned it. You're talking about like that looming fear. Yeah. And then like you're also afraid, like that fear is about like someone being mad at you or somebody being disappointed. But I actually had this like exact discussion with my therapist one time where I was like, I'm so scared to look at this thing because it seems so terrifying. Right. And then it was like, so one of the methods that my therapist used was family systems. Where it's like you actually name all of these parts, right? Like,
I love that system.
I know.
It's one of the best. If you want to learn more, read No Bad Parts by Richard Schwartz. Internal family system. So
actually, I was reading The Body Keeps the Score at the time. I mentioned this to her, and I was like, hey, I'm reading this. And then she's like, okay, let's use that. And I was like, oh, this is fun.
Your therapy sounds great, by the way.
I think we have the same therapy. That's why like nyambung juga gitu kan. But
terus.
So anyway, like I was saying to her that like for this one topic, there's this like, I'm so scared to look at this thing. And she's just like, just look at it and see what's the worst that's gonna happen. And also like she helped me feel safe in that moment, right? And it's like if it gets too much, just like, okay, just check out. Yeah. Right. And I think what surprised me was that like when I looked, it was just a part of me. It was me. Like a me that was really critical. And it took on this like parental voice and this parental like, you know, that whole like mama bear stereotype? That was me in my mama bear version. And like when I actually confronted it, have you seen the movie Soul?
Yes.
So like, the lost souls in the movie?
Yes.
And it's because they've strayed away from their purpose.
Yeah.
Right? And what brings them joy. And because they're so lost, it's like all this dust piles on top of them until they become unrecognizable and really scary.
Yeah.
So that is the best analogy that I can give for like that part of me that was like this mama bear. And it's like I had to build this persona of being terrifying. But when I looked and I started to say like, hey, like it's okay, you can put your defenses down. What was actually underneath all of that crap was a really scared and really terrified younger version of me.
Aww.
Which is really sad. but like, it's like,
yeah.
It's like, usually I think the scariest parts of us are actually the most vulnerable parts of us.
We put on the armor because we are so scared.
Yeah.
Right? Kita kayak takut banget gitu. And, I found out in one of my therapy sessions, the angry part of me, itu adalah this like younger version of me yang marah sama that little scary part. My child, like, karena waktu kecil tuh aku kayak suka mungkin ngikutin orang tapi salah gitu kan. Terus this teenager part yang rebellious gitu, kayak ngelihat si anak kecil, lu tuh jangan sampai ngikutin orang lagi ya, nggak dengerin diri lo sendiri ya. Jadi kadang-kadang tuh kita tuh punya rasa marah, it sometimes it's just us in different forms and parts keluar gitu. Karena apa? Karena ya udah bolak-balik lo tuh kena masalah hanya karena you don't trust yourself gitu. Jadi dia tuh malah marah sama that little scary part. Tapi jadinya marah gitu kan. So I mean, this is what therapy is for.
This feels like a therapy session.
This feels like totally a therapy session. Okay. So I think we've talked about a lot of things today. Kalau kamu sekarang kan, after this past year, kamu bilang juga sekarang di tahun 2023 udah lebih enteng, ya kan? What are some of the things that, or habits that you do mungkin kesehariannya to keep you moving forward, or that you have learned from last year and you still do? Itu apa sih yang mungkin orang-orang bisa tahu atau bisa membantu?
I still dance every day. Like,
by yourself in the bathroom or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like on my bed, in my living room, wherever.
You should have a TikTok account where you just dance.
But that's actually something that I've started doing on like my Instagram, is that like I've started posting videos of me dancing. Like back in the day, I was so scared of doing that because I was scared of like people saying like, iya apaan sih?
Iya.
Gitu kan, kayak iya apaan sih?
TikTok aja kan banyak isinya dance semua, enggak?
Iya, tapi aku generasi Instagram, generasi TikTok. Tapi maksudnya kayak there was a part of me that like was afraid of like people judging me about that. Kayak, I mean, like, because of like my career history or my professional history, I feel like there's an expectation that I'm supposed to only behave in this type of way. But the reality is
like a Miss Universe.
Yeah, just like a pageant, just like
like a beauty queen.
Sitting like very and like only waving like this. But that's not me. Like,
yeah, you gangsta.
Like what? But yeah, so like that is actually someone. Maybe it doesn't look like very much to people who like scroll through Instagram, but for me, it's like such a big deal because it's like, in me, dancing is a huge part of who I am, and I've resisted it for so long. I like packed her up really, really tightly and threw her to the back of my mind until she was like, I can't take it anymore. I need to be set free.
Right.
And so like me like doing dance videos on Instagram is me just being me. I love to dance and I want to share that with people. Like I'm not saying dance. You have to dance. I'm just saying do what brings you joy. And like that to me is something that brings me joy. And I think that like when you do something with joy and love, that really translates. That can like touch another human being, Right. So something I still do every day is like I will put on some music and dance and like, or I'll just jump around. Like recently I've started listening to my old school punk and emo playlist. Fall Out Boy. And I'm just like jumping around and I'm like, and it's just so fun for me. You know,
Yeah.
and I think we do so many things in life so seriously.
Yeah.
And like for me, like
Welcome to my life.
that's a Simple Plan song. I start singing now. But like we need to do the things, even for 5 minutes a day, the things that bring us joy, right? And like for me, like punk emo music reminds me of being 15, of being like everything sucks, but like
By the
still
way,
rocking out.
first time I met you, you do have a skinhead di sini ya kan? So like I don't think you ever
Outgrew it.
yeah, outgrew it. So yes.
It's like formal in the front, party in the back, punk in the back. So dancing every day. I try to write every day. I love writing poetry. So sometimes when I don't have time to journal, I write poetry instead.
Nice.
But I think writing is a good way of connecting with those feelings. Like movement is good to process the feelings and biar ada outlet supaya itu. There's a apa sih namanya? Transformation of the energy into something else gitu kan. But I think writing is a good way of connecting. And I was just talking to somebody recently who he was like, I don't write, I video journal. And so he like records himself talking.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. But basically like you just need to get
it out.
What's in here.
Yeah.
And you give it an outlet. So that's two things. I just saw the like flash. Yeah.
All right. So
what do you do?
For me?
Yeah.
Well, I go to therapy.
Oh yeah, of course, therapy. How could I forget?
And so I actually record my therapy session. Terus and then
why did I never think of
throughout the week I actually listen to it. Jadi kayak I listen to it over and over untuk kadang-kadang karena you know what I found out is that kita suka lupa apa yang udah kita bahas terus you know it's such a good reminder. Terus aku catat ulang. I mean I'm such a dork. I'm such a nerd basically. I study my own therapy session. And then dari situ aku juga nulis banyak. And then aku juga I actually write my journal. Pokoknya supaya ada outlet, I exercise. These are the things that I do to keep myself, I think, more grounded and lebih kayak plong gitu rasanya. But one thing that I know about myself is that I'm a morning person. Jadi I have a sacred morning. Dimana maksudnya sacred itu kayak it's my time for myself that I don't spend with anyone else. Jadi it's just me with myself. Dimana aku tuh kayak kalau bangun, I just feel my body, I stretch, I sometimes meditate. Terus abis itu aku bikin kopi sendiri. I mean just having a ritual of making my own coffee. I play with my dog, kadang-kadang bawa dia ke bawah. Terus abis itu after that then I go to my exercise. Jadi main tenis atau main golf atau berenang atau whatever it is yang aku suka. That is like my morning. Like it's nobody can touch my morning. Jadi that's my time for me. I don't even talk to my husband. I don't talk to anyone in the morning.
Just like wake up and you're like,
no. I think it gives me space for me karena actually I'm a very extroverted person. Aku tuh dapat energi kalau ngomong sama orang lain.
Same.
Terus kalau ketemu sama orang lain I'm happier. But for some reason that morning for myself is just something I really need. So I have that. Makanya aku juga sebenarnya bukan orang yang bisa tidur malam. Karena I like to have my morning tuh kayak banyak gitu. Jadi kalau tidurnya kemalaman kan udah keburu harus ke kantor dan segala macam. Jadi cuma sedikit gitu waktunya. So I like having more time for myself. Jadi jadi aku gak suka. So I like to sleep early, wake up early, and then I have my own morning, and then I can just go gitu sisanya.
I just want to point out that like sitting here today talking about this stuff, like if I sound like I have my shit together, I really don't. Okay.
I also
like
don't.
like because I like
Kayaknya
you know, like I like okay, for example, like I heard like Mark Wahlberg like starts his day at like 3:30 or like 4 a.m. Right? And he's like he does like an hour of gym and he does this and this, and I'm like, wow, in comparison I feel like such a failure. So the reason I'm pointing this out is because like maybe it sounds like I have my shit a little bit together, but like actually one of the things that I really struggle with till today is sleeping. Like I am such a night owl. And I've heard that like, you know, people like I've heard people say that I've heard other therapists on Instagram talk about how like, you know,
good to have a morning routine.
It's good to have a morning routine, but also like the fact you're not actually a night owl because that's what you naturally are. You're a night owl because like whether that's like as a kid, that's the time of day that you had time to yourself, or like you're still stuck in like this survival, like where like our adrenaline, cortisol are still really, really high in your system. And that's potentially why you're a quote unquote night owl, right? But like even last night, I was like, oh my God, I have to be up early. And like I had to like force myself to go to bed. Usually, and like the other night I was up till 4.
Wow.
Like, I'm impressed. I'm not. I'm tired. Is what I am. But I like, I think it's a work in progress. Intinya sih gitu.
Yeah. Look, here's what I have to say. I've always been a morning person. I didn't train myself to be a morning person.
Right.
Dari kecil aku udah bangun pagi.
Yeah.
Jadi kayak it's not an extra thing for me. And a lot of people, karena ada buku ya kayak misalnya 5 a.m. club. Terus misalnya kayak all billionaires or millionaires, like this is the secret. Mereka tuh kayak bangun pagi, terus mereka meditasi, terus mereka baca buku, and then they journal, and then they terus mereka olahraga, and then it's like, you know, you have that, and then they're so productive.
They've done so much before 9 a.m.
Jadi sebelum nyampe kantor tuh udah produktif banget. Okay, I did all of that. I am not a billionaire yet. Okay, so
it's not a guarantee.
It's not a formula to success. Let me tell you that.
Right, yeah.
You can wake up early, you can wake up late, whatever you want. Tapi, you know, jangan ekspektasi. By doing that, you'll be like a much more successful person. But if that makes you happy, that makes you feel joyful, that kayak tadi kita bilang, if that works for you, do it more. Kalau enggak, ya udah nggak apa-apa gitu. Find another way to connect with yourself, right? I mean, you can find other times in the day. Kalau aku, like, I have made it that's the only time I have for myself, because the rest of the day I am with people. Jadi I cannot find, and then nanti kalau udah malam udah capek gitu loh, so I don't have energy anymore. So that's why I did it, right? Not because I try to be, you know, a billionaire by doing that.
So basically like what works for each individual person.
What works for you aja gitu kan. There's no formula to this, and you know, we absolutely do not have our shit together. Maksudnya minggu ini pun I say that itu kayak my ideal morning routine, tapi minggu ini pun aku udah nggak workout udah setiap hari, you know, just because I cannot, lagi nggak bisa.
But it's like an aspirational.
Tapi nggak apa-apa gitu loh, kayak ya udah nggak bisa workout seminggu, that's okay. Mulai besok. Kalau besok masih nggak bisa, masih capek juga, masih sakit, mau bilang apa, right? Just I think sometimes kita tuh seneng banget sesuatu yang sifatnya preskriptif. Because kita tuh pengen simple, kayak kalau lagi A, jawabannya adalah B, sehingga hasilnya adalah C, right? And life just doesn't work that way, right? Sometimes you need X, Y, and Z, and you know, whatever works, right? And sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it doesn't even take any effort. Jadi, you know, you gotta be easy on yourself, right? Don't
go with grace.
Just so chill aja gitu loh, relax aja. Tapi emang itu nggak gampang sih. I mean, I feel like I had to go through like years of therapy to have my shit a little bit more together.
I know, it's like 1% more together for me. But that's like a huge 1%.
Yeah, it's okay. 1% every day. That's great. All right. So, what is next for you?
Total world domination.
I'm all for that.
I
Maybe
think,
Academy Award?
Hey, it's on my vision board, so.
Whoa! Move over, Michelle Yeoh. Exactly.
Well, no. Make space.
Make space.
Make space.
No, she will be the giant that you stand on the shoulder on.
Yeah. So, and maybe she'll be the one to give me my award.
I mean, yeah.
You know, like, maybe this is less specific, but I think for me, it's just to really step more in line with who I know I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that means like pursuing like career moves and choices that are more in line with just my purpose. And like, I love acting. Again, ever since I could walk and talk, like I was a performer. I'm not a triple threat because I can't sing. I'm definitely a double threat though, because I can dance. But like, you know, it's growing up performing like in theater and like putting on plays with my best friends and like that and then finally being able to work in this industry, it brings me so much joy. Tapi tidak bisa dipungkiri bahwa it's not always the most fulfilling thing for me to do because for whatever reason, the roles that I've been offered or that I see that are out there aren't always that many like women roles or women character roles that are really 3D, fully fledged human beings. And they're oftentimes like very 1 or 2 dimensional. And it's like, I'm not saying all, I'm just saying that like for the most part or frequently that's kind of what I see. And I feel like, you know, we handicap our understanding of what women are or who women are by only portraying them as like goody two shoes. And it's like, if you're good, you're good. If you're an antagonist, that's all you are. But the reality is like, as human beings, whether you're a woman or a man or anything in between, like we're flawed, you know. And kita udah terbiasa ngelihat protagonis laki-laki yang ada banyak flaws-nya. Jadi kita masih bisa relate dengan ceritanya dia, tapi kayak I don't agree with this particular choice, tapi overall like you know, the hero's journey, I can agree with that. I empathize and I root for him. Tapi kayak cerita tentang perempuan yang protagonis perempuan that is flawed that we still root for, kayaknya itu masih jarang. Or that's how I feel, and I feel like part of me being more authentic is moving from acting to behind the scenes. I've said this for a really, really long time, but I've been really terrified about taking that step. And last year, towards the end of last year, aku mulai mengambil langkah itu. I took a screenwriting course. Now I'm working on my first, hopefully, feature film script. And I want to be able to bring women characters that are complex, that we empathize with, that we don't always agree with, to life. Wow.
I mean,
so that's great. That's aspirationally what's next for me.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I hope.
That's great. Look, wow. I hope we can see, you know, that screen into play.
Yeah.
Very, very soon.
Yeah.
Or not very soon.
Whenever
you're
happens.
ready. Okay. Last segment.
Yeah.
Rapid fire question.
Okay, let's go.
First thing come into your mind, yeah?
Okay.
Kopi atau teh?
Both. Actually, I was gonna say coffee. Let's be real.
Okay. What do you do for fun?
Dance.
Okay. Things you wish people knew more about you.
I'm a dork.
Okay. Lagu yang paling sering di playlist kamu hari ini apa? I mean, the last maybe month.
Whoa by Snow Allegra.
Okay. Buku apa yang menurut kamu semua orang harus baca?
I was gonna say The Power of Now, but I've never read The Power of Now. I mean, A New Earth.
Okay.
Eckhart Tolle.
All right. The worst piece of advice you've ever gotten?
How can that be a rapid fire question? I was gonna say don't change. No, actually no. You know when that was gonna be it. Like we know when people say like don't change, like you're amazing, just stay you. No. Yeah. Change. Change is evolution.
Nice.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you?
10. Today, right now in this moment, I'm a 10.
Okay, nice. Alright, last question. Menurut kamu yang paling penting dalam hidup itu apa?
Berbahagia. But I mean that in a way of like to be joyful internally, and as opposed to like find like for things to make you happy, like material things to make you happy, but to be joyful.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks so much for having me over coffee. Love you.
Well, thank you banget Nadine, and thank you everyone for listening. Thank you juga Pensieve.
Thank you, Pensieve.
Mesti ngomong ini nih. Pensieve adalah sebuah startup teknologi yang membangun platform operasional.
Can I read it?
Yes, of course. Here. Paling atas.
Pensieve adalah sebuah startup teknologi yang membangun platform operasional enterprise berbasis AI.
Terima kasih Pensieve, and terima kasih
Pensieve. Terima kasih Kakak Ina.
Thank you so much guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.